So Dave, before we get started, do you have any questions or anything for me? Did you get our schedule and all that?
Are you talking to
David Gerbec.
Oh, me. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you can call me. Yeah, I'll be David. You can be Dave. And are you good by Dave? Is that your preferred?
Dave? I've been called worse. It's all good.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or John's brother works. I get that a lot too. But yeah, I think I'm familiar. I saw that. Dave's going to lead off with the tasting, and then we're going to do and Jill, and then I'll close it out.
Yeah. Okay.
So, which should be fun because after tasting all that wine, the margarita, it'll be a presentation. I've never presented
a lot of alcohol.
Yeah. I'll try to pace myself.
Yeah.
I was going to do slides, but I thought better of that. I'll leave that.
The tasting really can just be a taste. I mean, it doesn't have to be a big gulp, and you can save it for later. Like we have actually something we can save, although it's probably not 100%, can save a sparkling wine. We have a
tough. It's really hard unless you. Some of those closures work really well, and you stick them in the fridge, and you can get maybe another day out of it. But
yeah. Okay, so here comes Jill, who's our other cocktail folk. There we go. Hi, Jill. Do you have any questions for me before we start? Oh, this is Dave Govatos. Jill Althouse-Wood.
Hi, Dave. I think I was in the shop very recently buying wine.
Oh, that's right, Jill. Yeah, absolutely.
I had a mask on.
I'm good. I can read everyone's eyes now. I've become recognizing them.
Hi, Betty.
Hey, I thought I'd come on early to say hi to my former student, Dave.
Yeah, hey, Betty, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. How you doing? You're retired now, aren't you?
Yeah, I think this is 3 years now.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm pretty good at it.
How's Kevin doing?
He's doing great. He's kind of busy. He's a PA up at Lankenau Hospital, cardiac PA, and they're just having to start going into the hospital now with COVID. He's been able to stay out for all that time, but yeah, but they're doing okay. He's got 2 boys who are great. Yeah.
They show up on my Facebook feed because they pop up and
yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yep, they keep busy. How about you? What's new with you? Except Swigg. What's new with you?
Just being a dad and a business owner, and it's busy.
How many kids do you have?
2. I have a 8-year-old and 10-year-old.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great. How much fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
Is this Dennis's birthday treat?
Yeah, it is. It's one of them. Yes. Yes.
It's all the week, right? All week?
Every week. Yep. All week. Except tomorrow is going to be a mess. I'm going to have to revise because I was going to get dinner from Chateau.
No.
But it's going to snow. So I have to maybe go get lunch instead. So, yeah, it's working out. He likes it.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. Yep. So Jill, I like your mood lighting there.
Yes, I'm working on it. We can change colors midway through if we want.
Oh yeah. Can you do flashing?
I think so. I'm not in charge of the whole setup. I mean, if it does start flashing, that's not me. That's somebody else.
Is Mark doing that?
He could if he wanted to, I think.
So Jill and David, just before we start, I wanted to I was thinking I would just let you guys introduce yourselves and maybe say something about why you're doing this. That would be interesting. Like, what do you
for a question about cocktails, the next thing you know, I'm presenting. So I'm not sure how it happened exactly. So
you're going to be talking on screen and everybody's going to be listening, David. So I'm just telling you.
Great. I thought this was just.
How did we get wrestled into anything at Arden? It's
you get wrestled in.
Yeah, voluntold.
Okay, so you can say that part of your introduction, Jennifer made you do it.
No, it was Jill. Like you had.
Okay, so it's like a, it's a chain reaction.
Right.
All right,
Loves company
cool.
and booze.
All right. Well, we're going to wait till about 7:35 to officially start. So feel free to talk amongst yourselves. And welcome, Carrie Cooper. Hi.
Carrie? Oh, she's muted. Or is she?
I'm on mute. Okay, I have stuff that I picked up from the Guildhall.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the French wine. My husband is not on, but he's open to French because he could not resist a Cote d'Aron.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm going to go ahead and open the red so it can breathe, actually.
So how do you suggest we do this? Are we gonna actually, I mean, I got everything, but I can't be drinking a margarita and then 3 bottles of wine. So
You'll drink 3 bottles of wine, then a margarita. Works better that way.
I'm coming over to your house.
It'll be fine. It's the opposite order.
oh, it is. It's the wine first. Okay.
And you don't have to take a sip of each.
Don't do it, Betty. Don't do it. Don't do it. I gotta work tomorrow. So I was like, I'm just gonna taste the French. That's all I'm gonna do.
Okay.
And I'm taking notes. Because I want to understand.
Yeah, I'm gonna take notes.
What am I supposed to do with coconut milk? I'm really confused.
How do you want
That's for the margarita.
wine or to make the margarita or?
I think make it one.
I think, Jill, I've got your document that has the recipes in it. Maybe I'll just go ahead and put that in the chat window.
Yeah, if you need it, if you got a shaker, put some ice in a shaker.
Okay.
If you don't have a shaker, put some ice in a glass so that you can mix it up.
Although we're not going to be doing that'll be another half hour or more before we get to that. So your ice will melt.
So don't do that.
So we'll have to get maybe take a break.
Ice
And
time
go
out.
get ice.
Get their ice.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't get out to the store to get anything, so I made my own cocktail with my own.
Ah. What did you get?
I made a gimlet.
Oh, that's so that's like a martini with olive, right? Or no?
No, this is just gin and lime juice. So you can make it with gin and Rose's lime juice, which is a simple syrup and lime, or you can make your own simple syrup and add fresh lime juice. But it's just gin and lime juice.
Okay.
It should be crushed or cubed ice.
I have a question to ask of the tutor here, or whoever. Jill,
Yeah.
a question for you. Should it be crushed or cubed ice for the margaritas?
I'm just going to shake them and pour them, so it's not going to be, I would say, the cube ice.
Okay.
You can make it in a blender. I'm not a fan of the blender because of my teeth, sensitive teeth. So I don't make blender drinks.
Okay.
The doorbell is when somebody new comes in.
Yeah.
Very cute. Who's that, Scoop?
It's Dennis.
Dave, you're gonna miss a bunch of great songs.
Like this?
I know. I just jumped on. What was the last song playing?
Actually, I haven't listened to it all today.
Oh, you're kidding. Were you reading papers?
I was in meetings all day.
It was good. It was getting good. It was heating up.
Is this the XPN list?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figure the Beatles and the Stones are taking over at this point.
They are. There should be an over/under of how many Beatles songs. They should just retire the Beatles and Stones from these lists. That's what we were talking about.
And Zeppelin.
And Zeppelin.
Springsteen's running a close third, isn't he?
Yeah, Springsteen's very high.
Shelley, I like your Christmas tree.
Thank you.
But the 70s are the decade.
The 70s is the biggest numbers.
Michelle. David. I don't know Dave.
You talking about a list on the radio or on Spotify? What do you guys?
This is
What am I
WXPN.
missing?
It's the best 2020 songs of all time.
Of all time.
Voted by XPN listeners.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, but only like 2,400 XPN listeners.
What number are they on currently?
Like 600, 500.
No, they're into the fours, Ron.
They're in the fours. I haven't checked in a while. You can follow online.
Make sure they-
Katrina?
Hello.
I know Katrina.
Oh, there you are. Hi, Katrina.
Joy.
He's got little single, oh, that's how they sold it, little single servings.
This is just for the cocktail.
We can listen. We don't have to- Anybody's got a good dirty joke.
I said I'll have to pay attention to what I'm saying. All this is very good. Thank you. I'm so excited for you.
So then the president gave us Christmas Eve off, so I had one less day to work.
Hello, Arden. Hello. Can they see us?
Right.
She crazy.
We're gonna go to 2 pages soon here.
Oh, it's pointing up there, so
What is it pointing?
the cameras, I think, must be down here going up at the single, because if you look.
Oh, that's there.
I understand that, but I'm just trying to
Get
I want to see the gallery. I want the gallery.
Just ask somebody.
So if you go to your,
Where?
is there a
I went-
view thing? Where's at the top? What does it say?
Oh my God, I think we should go mute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Just kidding.
No, I missed one.
No,
Oh, that's a good point.
it's easier when they go
People
mute.
can mute when they're not paying
Dots
attention.
on the right.
I looked at that.
Hello, Stuart.
Good evening.
Did someone come up with a drinking game for this?
That's what this was.
Yeah, this isn't the game.
Like if every time somebody goes on, every time somebody thinks they're not on mute, but they are, you have to drink or I don't know.
What did he say?
You think you're on mute, but you're not. You have to drink.
Lisa's been looking for my mute button for many years now. It remains elusive.
Are we on mute?
There's a lot of screen freezing.
Here, where's my little gadget.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Laura.
There's the floor.
You had it the other day.
Eric Ronstein should mute.
Oh, right.
Okay.
You're making a lot of noise and nothing in there.
You've definitely been talking to my wife then.
The host can mute everybody.
I miss Arden, but a real shout out to the folks who did the dinner guild. It was great.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
That was Jen and
That was really great. Jennifer Curley and
Carrie Del Tufo.
Carrie Del Tufo. Yeah. Wonderful stuff.
and the families.
And families, right.
There we go.
So for those of you just coming in, we're gonna wait another minute or so and then we'll be off and running. So there's still people coming in.
How's the honey doing?
Couldn't hear that.
I said, how is the honey doing?
I guess he's talking to Ron Mike. My honey's doing fine.
Jennifer, we have a question.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting a little high now. Are we supposed to take a drink every time this doorbell rings?
That is like, I don't know why it, you know.
Good idea.
Jesus.
Thought I disconnected that.
Oh, did everybody hear the new COVID test? It's drinking wine 45 times.
45.
Smelling and tasting. Yeah,
Oh,
That's a test?
it's a joke from the British, courtesy of the British. Yeah,
British humor.
yeah, British humor. Yeah,
I think it's a Brexit thing.
We need the timing.
yeah, whatever.
So I'm putting the PDF for the recipes that Jill and David Gerbec put together. I'm putting that in the chat box so everybody can download it if you want to. And because they're demonstrating not just the White Winter Margarita tonight, but a pear cocktail and a wonderful hot toddy cocktail. So yeah, look for that in a moment, as soon as I can find it on my computer.
Jennifer, you and Walter did noble effort yesterday in the rain. Thank you.
Yeah, it was rainy. And I poked myself in the eye with an umbrella on top of it. It was like I was trying to fold the umbrella and it broke and it poked. So I feel like a good martyr there for that. Okay. Okay, I think I successfully uploaded it into the chat box. So you can download that. It's a PDF. So if you want to. So, okay. So I think we should just get started. It looks like we have a good crowd, and welcome to the Scholars Guild Holiday Cocktail and Wine Tasting. Not in that order. And I think it's going to be a fun, interesting evening. I encourage everybody, if you are not speaking during one of the presentations, please mute yourself. Other than that, you're free to have open conversation. But and if you do have a question for any of our presenters, then go ahead and unmute yourself and just ask. So it's pretty freewheeling and open. So the Scholars Guild, as most of you know, is a organization that's part of the Arden Club. So I encourage you to go to ardenclub.org and donate to them. We're a nonprofit and are supported by Arden Club and each other, obviously. Next, this January, we're going to be doing another presentation as we do every third Tuesday of the month. And in January, it's a presentation by Scott Kushner, who does live in town. And it's called The Psychological Benefits of Western Spiritual Beliefs. And that will be January 19th at 7:30, and it will be the same Zoom link. So, all right. Well, I think trying to think if there's any other housekeeping for Scholars Guild. I don't think so. I just want to really thank Dave Govatos of Swigg Wine and Jill Althouse-Wood of Arden and Dave Gerbec of Arden for coming forward and helping us have a great time and find out some interesting things about drinks. And speaking of which, if you would like to contribute your own little factoids or interesting quips or thoughts about drinks or anything like that, I encourage you to jump in. So without further ado, I think I will hand it over to Dave Govatos. We're going to be drinking the 3 wines, by the way, 3 wines first, just so that you know. I think most of you know that, but and then the cocktail, make-along cocktail will be after the wine. Okay, so here's Dave.
Hi guys, thanks Jennifer. Thank you for letting me be a part of what looks to be a pretty boozy evening after I looked at the itinerary tonight. My wife and I own a wine shop called Swigg. If you've ever been there, we focus predominantly on what we affectionately call farm to glass wine. We also sell craft spirits and craft beer, but wine is our calling card. And to us, wine is liquid geography and should be expressive of place and the people that produce it, what the French would affectionately call terroir. Sadly, in today's world, that's a lot of the wine that you drink or you see in a regular, I guess, typical liquor store setting is the antithesis of this idea. 90% of all the wine produced in the US now is controlled by 4 large companies. So we've certainly digressed from nature in that way and what we consume and what we drink. So that's what we focus on. And the 3 wines that I picked tonight, not only are they sort of a holiday lineup, if you will, they also are going to kind of showcase that as well, and also showcase that you can get a real farm to glass wine that actually came from someplace at an affordable price. So, and by the way, so during this time of year, and actually frankly for the last 10 months, one of the most common things we get is people coming in and saying, I need a red, a white, and a sparkler. Because during the holiday, you get this a lot, but frankly, in the environment we're in, you get this all the time. People just want to have something on hand, not to kind of take the edge off, I guess, a little bit. And during the holiday season, in a normal world, people are prepping for people coming over and having big holiday meals. And typically that's what we get asked, a red, a white, a sparkler, to kind of pair with anything that may come down the pike here. And you're going to taste 3 really versatile wines. And we're going to start with the sparkling wine. That's going to be the natural progression here. And I picked a Prosecco. So you guys should all have gotten the Prosecco tonight in that 3-bottle case. And there's a lot of really bad Prosecco out there. There's a lot of like grocery store plonk. What you have in your glass, if you poured it tonight, is what I think, and a lot of other wine professionals think, is maybe one of the best expressions of Prosecco. Prosecco, the grape Prosecco that makes Prosecco is called Glera, Glera, and it's cultivated north of Venice. If you've ever been to Italy and you've been in Venice, if you head due north, you run into the Dolomites. And this property, Belcaselle, sits at the foothills of the Dolomites. And there's 2 main growing regions for Prosecco. One is called Vallo Biadene, and the other one is listed on this bottle here, which is Oslo. And they're the 2 finest growing regions for Glera and Prosecco production. A gentleman who works for me now, also, if you look on the back of the wine, you'll see, this one doesn't, you see Petit Patois. You also see sometimes Fleet on this. But the gentleman who works for me, Frank Splain, actually found this winery and signed them to the importer. And when we talk about family and we talk about back to nature kind of wines, this is certainly one of them. The property's been around cultivating and producing wine for about 40 years, and they've been biodynamic and organic since the day they started. Luca, the son of the patriarch of the family, Danilo, runs the property now. And when Franco showed up, the winery was somewhat struggling. The winery itself was really like 2 garages. It's much bigger now. But Franco was looking for what he considered was the best Prosecco in Italy. And he felt he found it in the wines of Belcaselle. So if you've ever wondered what makes sort of Prosecco different than, let's say, champagne or a champagne method sparkler, You can achieve sparkling wine in a couple different ways. The most well-known would be the champagne method, where the secondary fermentation happens in the bottle. So you take a still wine, you throw some yeast and sugar in it, you cap it off, and you get some bubbles, and that's the most noble way of making it. Another method that you can do this and get this process down is what we call a tank method or a Charmat method, and you're able to produce a lot of sparkling wine. So you take a still wine and you put it in a tank, essentially. And that tank can be a very big tank. And you can achieve a lot of sparkling wine all at once, and a very consistent wine all at once. And that's why you can get Prosecco at these kind of really reasonable prices. Belcastel happens to achieve that in a very artisanal way. The grapes that they're working with, as I described before, they're coming from this just better terroir. When you taste this wine, the one thing that should stand out is that unlike champagne, which is all about the interaction of yeast in that secondary fermentation, here, because it happens in tank, it's all bright and fresh and flowery. When we talk about terroir, Oslo, the region, you should get sort of if you pop this bottle open, you should get this nuttiness. There's actually some of like almost an almond skin type of note, and it runs through all the Prosecco that you get from this region.
Dave?
Yes.
Can we go ahead and open it? And
oh yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead, pop it open.
Okay, because I like listening to you while we're actually drinking, frankly. But.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you guys would just go right for it. That's what I always do. As you can see. Pro tip, by the way, a lot of people, I would encourage you not to drink your sparkling wine in flutes. The only reason you would do that is for the aesthetic of seeing the bubbles kind of percolate through the glass. Prosecco makes really good sort of guzzling type of drinking and works perfect in your kind of like your tulip type glasses. One, you'll be able to smell the wine. You'll be able to get more aromatics. It'll be a lot more enjoyable experience. Prosecco is a much softer effervescence than you'd get in other champagne or other champagne method sparklers. So it makes for just really easy drinking. And you get this softness. If you notice on the bottle, if you guys have popped this open, it says extra dry. Extra dry in the pantheon of sparkling wine actually has a little bit of residual sugar. Extra dry was invented before they invented brut. So there's about 16 grams of residual sugar in this wine. And again, it makes it a lot easier to drink. Oftentimes when I used to teach sparkling wine classes, people would universally, I would open up a $100 bottle of champagne, and they would universally always gravitate towards the Prosecco because it's so much easier to drink. And it's a little bit more enjoyable. When you get like a champagne, you get some chalky, kind of really high acid. Here you get this really soft, still sharp kind of precision. But that's what makes it such a great wine for the home and entertaining, for pre-gaming during the holiday season. And it's just something that I've always been fond of saying, champagne wears heels, Prosecco wears flip-flops. It's unpretentious. It's just easy to drink. And it's sort of like the ultimate kind of pre-toast, just brunch drinking. You can go to town and doing certain types of cocktails with this. So it really runs the gamut of everything you can do it with it. And when we think about holiday wines in general, again, when people come in and ask for a red, a white, and a sparkler, Prosecco is just a great place to go because it kind of satisfies so many different people.
One quick question. Does Prosecco tend to be sweeter than champagnes usually, almost always?
So good question, Elizabeth. So the codification system, when you see extra dry on a bottle, as it's noted here on the label, that's telling you that there's between 12 and 16 grams of residual sugar typically in the bottle. And I'm pretty sure that's the same legal definition in France as well. Brut is somewhere between 6 and 12 grams of residual sugar. And then they actually invented a way to to get rid of all the sugar pretty much completely. And you'll see sometimes that's labeled zero brut or brut naturel, and that's zero sugar. What you'll notice with those wines is that they tend to be much harsher on the palate. I love them. You have to you got to be a real acid head, as we like to say in the business, or acid freak, because it's like head shrinkingly acidic. And it works really well with certain cuisine, great shellfish wines and things like that. But that's why people typically, you'll see a lot of Prosecco labeled extra dry, because the marketers know, and we know it in the wine business, that if you add a little sugar, it softens up, that glucose softens up the wine on the palate and makes it easier to drink, a little bit more enjoyable. If you're looking for a cheese pairing for these wines, one of the classic pairings for Prosecco, any triple cream will really work well, because you still get all this acid here. But Brie, you'll constantly see Brie noted as one of the great companion cheeses to Prosecco. Does anybody else have any questions as the first wine? Any thoughts? Any input? No? I'm gonna get you guys to start drinking some more. All right, so
I have to say, I really love this one. I think it's really delicious.
Yeah, I mean, this is real Prosecco. Like I said, there's a ton of innocuous Prosecco out there. In fact, for the reason being, when my colleague found this producer, the importer wasn't exactly thrilled with bringing in Prosecco, because the connotation has always been it's this sort of forgettable, kind of a somewhat innocuous sparkling wine. But Belcastel is a real property, a real gem of a producer. So really lovely wine.
What's the cost of this one?
What's that?
What's the cost of this one?
I think we have it on sale right now for $16. It usually retails for $18.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dave, have you ever heard of, and can you vouch for veracity, verify that it works or not, to keep sparkling wines from going flat, you can put a long spoon into the,
Silver.
well, I don't know if it has to be silver or not, into the open bottle, and it preserves the bubbles. Do you know about that?
I have heard this before. I've never tried it. I don't know the science behind why that would work. Maybe some of you are chemists that could
No.
say how that could work. But typically, no. The minute you release the gas out of the wine, it's degraded. I mean, it's breaking down.
Okay.
The gas is releasing. A lot of us wine professionals, you'll see us drink. I love it when you get a really good champagne and you save it to the next day. And if you have really great champagne, as it starts to de-evolve and lose some of its effervescence, it turns more wine-like, and you can see the wine qualities in the champagne on that second day. So you'll see a lot of wine professionals and sommeliers often drink and save champagne to the next day, because we want to see how it evolves and see it in sort of its wine form. So. But honestly, the best way to preserve a sparkling wine, if you get those you can get the wing-tipped sort of sparkling wine caps. They do work really well. So,
okay.
Yeah. All right, you guys ready for the next wine? Let's do it. That's right. I forgot. I can't hear you guys. So the next wine, we're going to go to the white wine, which is Forest, and Forest has a soft spot in my heart. I've represented these guys for a long time. Even before I opened Swigg, I represented them on the wholesale side, and they're unique for a couple reasons. A gentleman named Ted Gerber started this winery with his wife in 1973. It says 73 on the back of your bottle, but he really got there in 71. And there were only 13 wineries in Oregon at the time. He ended up going to Illinois Valley, which is far south in Oregon. In fact, Forest is the most southerly winery in the Northwest. I mean, it's in Rogue Valley. And he got there, he's basically just a big hippie. He left his studies with his wife. He'd raised some money, and he got really into sort of the back to nature movement of the late 60s and went to start a winery. They now own about 255 acres. They started with very small amount back 40 plus years ago. And they produce Pinot Noir predominantly and Pinot Gris on the property. And what you have in your glass is the Pinot Gris. And it is, yes, Pinot Gris is the same grape as Pinot Grigio. The two places in the world where they label Pinot Gris as such is Alsace in France and in Oregon. And this is not, Pinot Grigio has a connotation of being, again, sort of like Prosecco, and that idea that it's sort of this innocuous kind of throwaway grape. But in Oregon and in Alsace, you get these really, really interesting expressions of Pinot Gris. And they're perfect around the holiday table. You get this little kind of, sometimes you'll get this little kind of ginger snap spice thing at the end. This one in particular shows a lot of like white peach. This is a true farm. This is a wine of place. Ted runs the property now. His wife passed away. He remarried, and his daughter and his grandchildren run the property. He has a female winemaker named Stephanie Poe, who is a very accomplished winemaker in this very bucolic, I mean, really, they're out in the middle of nowhere seemingly. And in fact, they have another wine that they produce called Flyover Red, because in the 80s and 90s, their neighbors were some of the largest weed growers on the Northwest, and the feds were flying over constantly. They actually, for one of their single vineyard Pinot Noirs, and I think where some of this Pinot Gris comes from, the U.S. Marshal, they actually repossessed some of that land from the U.S. Marshals. But it's a really, to give you an idea, there's really hardly anything domestically grown that it sells for under $20 that came from a farm. It's hard to believe that. In France and Italy, Germany and Austria, you can find that pretty regularly. But in the US, because of agricultural pricing and things like that, this is a true farm to glass expression of wine. And I really love these people. I love what they do. They really have a true philosophy to the land, and it really shows off in their wine. They make a lovely Pinot Noir, which we've sold from day one at the shop. And again, I think it's the only Pinot Noir that actually is estate grown, comes from a farm that we can sell at 20 or below. So really, really interesting wine. Pinot Gris, by the way, is the reason I will oftentimes recommend this during the holiday season is it is extremely versatile. It's probably one of the most versatile white wines to go with cheese. It also kind of satisfies, you can drink it as a cocktail wine. It sort of kind of goes with everything. Prepared this the other night for a wine dinner with some duck confit. It was fantastic. Really, really cool little wine. Everybody enjoy that? Anybody have any questions or?
Yeah, same question, like price wise, is it in the same range as the other?
Yeah, we can still carry this wine for $17, which is, I mean, it's a real steal. And I not to sound salesy, I get really geeked up when we find these kind of wines and we get to work with them. I think in fact, I think their website even, I think Forrest's website says magnificently produced and amazingly affordable. I think Wine Enthusiast has said this is some of the property's wines represent some of the best value in the entire country in terms of wine production and value. So yeah, it's $17.
What cheeses would you pair with this wine?
You know, you could do anything from like harder cow's milk cheeses. I've done, what did I do recently with this? You could easily, I mean, when I mean like it goes with that, I mean sheep, goat, sheep would work really well, maybe some manchego. Again, it would work. You could throw things like some some Alpine cheese, some cow's milk Alpine cheeses into it. We carry a lot of Doe Run cheese at the shop and Birch Run, two local cheese purveyors. And I paired this a lot with some of the Gouda or Gouda-like hybrids that they do that work really, really well.
So Dave, you mentioned that there's a Pinot Noir that this same company does.
Sure, yeah.
And it's from Oregon, so I've always heard that the best Pinot Noir comes from Northern California. So I'm just wondering how you think that compares, or what the differences might be between.
Sure. So I think the biggest difference, geologically, there a lot changes from north to south, and climatically a lot changes from north to south. Oregon has to deal with a lot more maladies. Well, California is very sprawling and large, so there's a myriad of different growing areas in California, Central Coast, Northern California, producing all different types of different expressions of Pinot Noir. In Oregon, the most well-known growing area is Willamette, and so that's where you're going to see the highest prices fetched. The biggest difference between Oregon, whether we're in Rogue Valley for forests, for example, which is due south of Willamette, it's typically a little bit cooler, and the wines have a little bit more austerity to them and come off a little bit more French-like, and they kind of have a little bit more earthiness to them. That's changing, however. California has always usually get this very sun-kissed fruit, very almost jammy type of fruit from California. A little bit warm, not all the time, it's a generalization. It's a little bit warmer there in some of those growing regions. To achieve real greatness in Pinot Noir, you need cool temperatures. You need these big nocturnal and diurnal climatic shifts. You basically need cold nights and warm days. And in California, you can get the days can get really, really warm. So the best sites are cool. In Oregon, it's clearly cooler. They also have to deal with a lot of rain at harvest sometimes, so you can get complete vintages that are washed out. We saw that, I think it was the 2007 vintage in Oregon was a complete disaster. Was it 7 or 9? I can't remember now, but you can get these very, you can get these complete washed out vintages. A lot of having said that, the terroir is different. You can see a lot of French companies have come. Domaine Drouin comes to mind, has invested in Oregon, and other French families have invested in Oregon. Oregon's unique too because the average size of a winery in Oregon is less than 30 acres, while in California it's 255 or something like that. So you're getting a much more focused winemaking, and in my opinion, a much more maybe deeper expression as a whole of terroir for that region. However, it's changing dramatically, though. I mean, climate change is real, and it's affecting agriculture for the vine. So, if you talk to any Vigneron in that region, so those would be the major differences.
I was wondering if they were affected by any of the wildfires this past season.
You know, for specifically, no. Yes, you will see some really interesting things in the next year, predominantly in California. There were some Oregon wineries affected. California is a real issue. Not like the fire, like burning everything down, but smoke taint is a real serious malady, and it's going to cause some real issues, especially in potentially the wholesale. When you go to a liquor store or a wine shop, if you're buying domestic, you know, California Cabernet or Merlot or Zin or whatever, in like the $8 to really $25 range, a lot of that's all sourced fruit, and those guys source fruit from all over California. And I've already heard one negociant that we deal with for a couple of different brands, for our range of like affordable California stuff, that they've already been told that they may not have a vintage they may have to source fruit from like Washington or someplace. So it's real, but nobody really knows the nobody really knows the overall damage just completely yet. So cool. All right, guys, you ready for the last wine here of the evening?
Is that wine comparable?
We'd actually chosen one. I was going to do a different wine tonight, different red wine to kind of close this whole thing up, but that wine didn't come in time. So we went to another wine that we sell a ton of at the shop and has been here since day one and extremely versatile. So this is Chateau Bouchen, Cote d'Aron. And Cote d'Aron is sort of like, and a good one like this is sort of like the ultimate French bistro wine. It's incredibly versatile. It's easy to like. This happens to be probably the best vintage of this particular bottling I've had in probably 5 years. This producer has a long history. They're located in the town of Orange in southern Rhone. They actually produce Chateau de Pape as well. And their white wines in their property might be the best thing that they produce. But they are this very bucolic, beautiful property, you know, what you'd envision kind of like straight out of central casting for a French country house. Beautiful property. And this wine is comprised of, they grow Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, and Marselan, which is a rare grape grown in the region, and uniquely actually in Uruguay, and Carignan. But what I like about this particular bottle is you can really get the Grenache always gives you these really lovely kind of red fruit notes, and the Syrah here, which this is the first vintage they really tuned up the Syrah. Syrah gives you these dark black fruits, these kind of holistic, kind of leathery, very perfume notes that you don't get from Grenache. And let's give it a whirl here. Yeah, just gobs of really, really great, bright fruit. This bottle's in really good, at least mine is really good condition. A signature when we talk about terroir, you get this cracked pepper note too. Sometimes it's as pronounced as it's like someone took a pepper grinder and went over your glass. Here you get it a little subtly. Mine's not showing it too much. Oh no, it's there. It's there. You get a little spiciness. This property is really cool. Wine's been grown on this property really since antiquity. The gentleman who owns it now is a guy named Michel Bernard, and his ancestor, gentleman I don't know the name of, but he inherited the property after the French Revolution. Essentially, was gifted it. If you're wondering what this crest is on the bottle, which people always find very interesting, it is actually from an Italian family that founded the estate when the Pope left Rome for Avignon in the 1600s. That's where you get the name Chateau de Pape from, or House of the Pope. This family fled with the Pope to the region and settled on what is Chateau Bouchen. And I believe they found this coat of arms on the property when Michel got there. It's still there and it adorns every bottle. But really, really cool farm to glass and a really, really enjoyable one. Does anybody have any questions on this guy?
So so Cote d'Aron is a blended wine?
Yeah, so it's the hills of southern Rhone is how it translates to. It is always a blend. It is typically it's typically Grenache and Syrah. That's the most common blend, with Grenache being the most dominant. Usually, most of the time when you see it, it's usually a 60-40 split or a 50-50 split. One of the things that makes Bouchen kind of interesting to me is that they'll use a larger range of grapes, and you get a bigger dimension of flavor. Sometimes Cote d'Aron can kind of get, as pleasing as it is with all of its fruit, it can kind of get a little redundant, somewhat a little bit boring, because it's just showcasing two, Grenache and Syrah. But here in this bottling, they're throwing in Mourvedre, Marcelin, Carignan, which are all permissible, but they're not usually used all together. That's great.
Could we do an Arden Guild trip there?
Sure. Yeah, well, we just, it's a shame. We just did we sponsored Delaware Opera pretty heavily, and we did a whole natural wine tasting with Opera in the parking lot a couple weeks ago as a test drive to what kind of the tastings we'll do in the new year. So.
Did the opera go there because of the French operas being in Orange?
Theatre.
No, I didn't know that, but that's really cool.
The Theater Antique is there. It's a Roman amphitheater with a 5-story upstage stone backdrop. It's beautiful there.
For those of you who have heard our story,
No.
I'm not going to tell it, of course, but we were there, and Turandot was in rehearsal and was going to start the day after we left. So we got a little sampling of that. But
the last night we were there was their dress rehearsal, and it's a closed dress rehearsal because of the performers and the director that's involved. But some of the locals told us how to sneak up to the top of the hill and sit on the fence and watch the entire dress rehearsal of Turandot. It was really a beautiful evening.
I wish we'd known about this wine. We would have taken that with us.
That's right.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, they're literally, the property is, it's right smack dab in Orange. So you saw the landscape, right, where you get that Provençal, that sort of Mediterranean like landscape. It's a really cool place.
But you enter on a really busy high road with trucks, and it doesn't look very interesting. And we almost just kept on going. We had a reservation there.
500 years of soot on the buildings. We almost just passed it by.
This is disgusting. But then you turn, and two blocks later, you have the charming town. So we were glad we stayed.
Cool. Well, guys, that's all I've got tonight. So I hope I warmed you up for some fun libations and cocktails coming your way.
Thank you very much, Dave. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah, very fun.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Dave.
Are there any questions for Dave before we move on? And you can just chat among yourselves for a moment while we get ready. Well, shall I say Jill and Dave get ready?
Yeah, I would just like to also add, Dave, it's always nice to get the backstory when you have any type of beverage. It helps you really pay attention to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like people behind chocolate, right?
We didn't ask which chocolates would go with the wine.
What would you pair, Craig's? What would you pair with the? What chocolate would you pair with the Bouchen?
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Pairing is almost more art than science, and it's very personal. And sometimes you look to pair something that is similar, and sometimes you're looking for a contrast, right? Like pears and blue cheese really are a contrast. So sometimes it's like that with food, where you're looking to contrast. So earlier we were talking about, which one was it? I think it was a Prosecco, and I was looking for a soft cheese to go with that, because for me and particularly the forest, because I got the oakiness, I was looking for something softer to pair with that, right? And then for the red, something sweeter as a contrast, something with a higher
Jesus said here.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, let's see. Thank you, Dave. And I encourage everybody to go to Swigg Wine over in Independence Mall. It's a wonderful place, although I haven't entered there since COVID hit, but I've gotten a few. They do curbside delivery, that I know. So.
Yeah, sorry for the mixed up again.
That's walking distance.
There you go.
Dave, thank you so much. And your boxes are beautiful. I'm going to drop your box back off to you because I know they're not free.
Thanks, Brad. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a good idea that Dave, Fred had, Fred Hartman, was that the wine boxes, the boxes that if you haven't already crushed them up and put them in recycling, I can collect them. You can drop them at my house, or you can take them back to Swigg Wine if you like.
Yes,
then
when
there you
they
go.
curbside pickup, I'll just bring my box.
There you go. Use it for other wines. Definitely. Okay, so without further ado, we'd like to move on. Now everybody have their cocktail kit ready.
You have some ice? Did you get some ice ready?
Yeah, so we have our lovely Jill Althouse-Wood, who is an incredible cook and has won the chili contest how many times, Jill? 3 times. Get that, number 3. So she has an amazing palette to share with us, and has developed a white winter cocktail and some other things to tell us about cocktails. And then we'll be hearing from Dave Gerbec, who I think is going to do a hot toddy, which I'm excited about because I don't usually like hot toddies, but I think I'm going to like this one because it sounds amazing. So anyway, Jill.
All right. I practiced this, but I did it without drinking first, so this might turn out differently. Who knows? Okay, the first thing, we came up with these couple cocktails, and the idea was the first cocktail, the winter Christmas cocktail, is because you can make it in a pitcher if you have a larger group, or you can make it in a shaker for just 2 people. So it's versatile in that way. The second cocktail that I'm going to be making is versatile because you can make it alcoholic or non-alcoholic. And then Dave's going to have his cocktail in which there's going to be, you can use all your leftover alcohol that you have, and it's very versatile, and you can use what's in your liquor cabinet. So without further ado, the kit that you got, the recipe that you have, serves 2 cocktails, but in our house it has to serve 3 because we've got 3 drinkers now with Marin at home. And what we're going to do first is get our glasses ready. I'm going to do this in a martini glass, but you can do it in a wine glass or a margarita glass. And the first thing I'm going to do is take a wedge of lime and go around the rim of all my glasses. And then you should have some white sugar in your kit. That I got the white sugar, there's sprinkles in the baking department at Wegmans. And it just has a nice, almost snowy quality, which is going to be great because we're going to get snow tomorrow, I hope. Mark says not much, but I'm hoping for more. And I just put it on a plate here. Oh, I might need some more. In here. This is just really nice to make it really look like snow.
As an aside, I would like to say that while Gail and I are named on this, our daughter Sarah is here, and she is doing the chef work right now.
That's great.
And we're so thrilled to have her home.
Okay, so this is also, you can find versions of this that are blender drinks, but I said earlier, I don't tend to like frozen margaritas just because I have sensitive teeth, so I don't drink frozen drinks very often. So I like to make I like my margaritas shaken. And I'm gonna just do 3 shot glasses of the coconut milk. I put this in the microwave for a little bit because mine, I needed to homogenize it a little bit, kind of. It was kind of clumpy with the solids in there. And the next thing, so it was 3 coconut milk. Then you have 2 silver tequila. A shot glass is about 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 ounces. And it doesn't really matter as long as you're proportional. And then last but not, well, it's not actually last, a shot of triple sec. Now, I like my margaritas on the tart side. If you like it sweeter, you can add a little bit more triple sec. The other thing you can do is add a little bit of simple syrup if you want. So if you like it sweeter, that's what you have to add. Oh, I know what I forgot. Hold on. Okay, and then juice of 1 lime. I like these contraptions. I don't know. I always get the lemon size because I can do lemons and limes in it.
I'd rather tight.
Can you repeat the proportions, please?
3 of the coconut milk, 2 tequila, 1 triple sec, and juice of 1 lime.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
That is quite the juicer.
The thing about making cocktails at home is that you can make it to your palate. You know, you can decide how you like it best. And there is in the recipes you'll see the punch version of this.
Jill, when you said that, we just added more tequila. Just because
you don't have to admit to that, Betty.
Just because we were finishing the little bottle, that's all.
It's to our taste.
And the next thing you know, it's New Year's Eve. So if you have some leftovers and you printed the PDF, you're on your way.
So I don't put this over ice, but I did freeze my cranberries for the garnish. It's already been, shaken over ice. So for a garnish, I just you can put this on the side. I like to float it in because it's pretty. A wedge of lime. I got some rosemary out of the garden. It's the last of it. Kind of looks like a little Christmas tree in there. And then some cranberries. You could also use my mind is blanking out. The pips, not the persimmon. What am I thinking? Pomegranate pips. Yeah.
Make a palmapolitan.
Yeah, palmapolitan. So there you go. Shake it a lot because that way the coconut milk will get nice and mixed in. Sometimes that gets a little sloppy. You guys gonna come drink?
I don't like that floating.
Happy Hanukkah, everyone.
Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah. So we've been having Friday night COVID happy hours with Betty and Dennis.
Since March.
Yeah, since March.
Yeah.
We were expecting
outside.
We were expecting it to last a few weeks, but it's been quite a tradition.
Yeah.
We should come up with a recipe book for all the cocktails we've had since March.
That we should do that.
No, it would go into tomorrow.
Yummy.
We didn't get the kit, so we're making do with what's in the cabinet here.
All right. Well, I wish we'd have known. We would have sent some coconut milk down.
Now we had coconut milk.
Of all the things, that's what you have.
Because I just made butter chicken. Had this great tequila.
All right.
Decided to use some orange bitters.
We could have supplied anything else.
You want me to bring some pomegranates?
I think I have to up the tequila.
We had everything.
Finish that up, pour it in there.
I'm gonna add a little more tequila.
All right. The second cocktail I have is it's not much of a demonstration actually, but it's a honey roasted pear. It's almost like an apple butter. I don't know if you can see this, but it's a pureed. You roast the pears in the oven with some balsamic and honey and some spices, some winter spices, and it really makes the house smell good. And this puree is just great this time of year to have on hand.
9
o'clock.
8:30 says there.
I know, but I moved it because I knew this was going to.
Jill froze for cranberries.
So I just put a couple tablespoons of this in the drink. And the great thing about this is you can make it, you can put in ginger ale, you can put in, I think I'm going to put a little bit of the Prosecco in, stir that up and see what we get. And there's other uses you can have for this. You can, use it making cookies for all. Where's our Prosecco right there? But like I said, it's nice to have an option that's kind of festive for those that don't drink alcohol.
Just a general reminder, folks, if you're not actually talking, could you mute yourselves so we can hear Jill uninterruptedly? Thanks.
Make sure. Yeah, we're muted.
This is also great. You can actually put bourbon in with this. You can put vodka and
Can you tell if you're muted? or
you
not?
can make it into a punch. And the directions in the recipe tell you all about that. So that's all the options are there. It's just good to have something on hand that you can. I was looking for ginger seltzer. I couldn't find it, so I've got grapefruit. I tried it with the grapefruit. It's okay. I think the ginger would be better with this. Cheers. See, you can. I drink this. You can't. Ha ha ha. It's got a nice, really spicy flavor, and the pear is nice too. It's you could do it with apple butter. I'm sure you could do the whole thing with apple butter. Just add a little balsamic and maybe some clove. But I think the pear is nice at holiday time. It just seems a little bit special. Anybody have any questions? Oh, I forgot. Sorry. I wanted to show you this, which I messed up, but I got some gold sugar for this one, which is really pretty. You know, this is kind of, yeah, it's kind of a beige cocktail, but if you put a gold rim around it, it really makes it look less like beige and more like, you know, something festive. And you can also, you could put your cranberries in there as well too, just to give it a pop of color.
That's great. I love this sparkly sugar on the margarita, and the gold. I can't really tell the gold part because of the coloring, but it looks great. Where did you get that? Why don't you let us know about that?
They do have the gold sugar at Wegmans, but I forgot to get it when I was there. They also had it at Acme.
Wow. Okay.
You hold this.
They can see it here on the plate.
Yeah, but I'm showing them the label so they can buy it. This is the. You want to hold it closer to you.
So you found that like in the spice section or cookies?
Yeah, that was in the baking goods. It's like cupcake decoration. You could also use for this, you could use brown sugar or the sugar in the raw kind of thing too, if you know, rather than buy gold sugar, but this one has just a little bit more luster than both of those.
It is very sparkly.
That's it. That's all I got. Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, that's
Nicely done.
How about questions?
Jill, thanks. Those look really great. I wish I'd had the kit.
This is delicious. I'm just gonna say that.
It's good. Great. I love the idea that you can make a volume of it. For guest, a punch.
Arden, thank you.
Make another one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jill.
All right, so now we have a cocktail, another cocktail maven from, in the form of Dave Gerbec. Are you there, Dave?
I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, as Jill
And
said,
by the way, I love the bow tie, so that's
thank you.
Holiday attire. It's perfect.
Excuse to wear a bow tie and comb my face. It's fun times in quarantine. Yeah, as Jill mentioned, we practiced the other night, but we were sober when we did it. So this is like it'll be a challenge. So hopefully this will work out okay. Tonight I'm here to talk about the hot toddy. It's something that some people love, some people don't. But on a night like probably tomorrow after the snow, it's the perfect drink. And just first, a little bit of history about the drink, as it was mentioned in one of the emails that Jennifer sent out, that the origin of the name is actually Hindu. It's from it was coined in about the 1600s, and the definition is a beverage made from fermented palm sap. And since that's an ingredient that's hard to find, for most of us, it's been adapted, through the years. In the 1700s, the recipe was originally officially written down and defined as a beverage made of alcoholic liqueur mixed with hot water, sugar, and spices. And this all happened in India, and at the time when the British controlled it. And then it evolved and was taken back to the homeland, and pubs all over northern England and Scotland started offering a drink that was basically hot water poured in the Scotch whiskey. And then as the spices from India started to come into the country, they started adding more exotic spices to the drinks to give them added flavor and interest. There's an alternate history about an Irish doctor named Robert Bentley Todd, who orders his patients to drink hot brandy, cinnamon, and sugar water. And by the time around the mid-19th century, the hot toddy had become basically a cure-all for the common cold. In fact, there was an article in the Burlington Free Press in 1837 in which the writer advised readers to avoid calling a doctor, feed your children excessive amounts, and then finally make your child a drink when they don't feel well. So with that history behind us, I'll get into the drink. It's pretty simple. It's a basic formula, but what's cool about the hot toddy is that you can adapt it to whatever you have on hand. It's a combination of a hot beverage, which could be water, which I'll be using tonight in the demo, tea, coffee, cocoa, or heated apple cider. There's some kind of sweetener. I'll be using brown sugar, but you could also use honey, agave, maple syrup, or simple syrup. There's a spirit. It generally works best with your brown liquors, so whiskey, rum, bourbon, or whatever, rye, or whatever you have on hand. And then you can add some flavoring to it, which common flavorings are lemon, cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice. Pretty much, just raid your spice rack. And then finally, some have a dairy component, which could be cream, butter, milk, or you can even use a plant-based milk if you're vegan or you prefer not to use dairy. So with that, I'll get into the recipe for a hot buttered rum. So I have my glass here. Can everybody see that? So it's basically, I just have a tablespoon of butter in here that's been softening for a while. And you have to worry if it's not super soft because we'll be adding hot water to it. To that, I'll add a teaspoon of brown sugar. If it comes out of the bowl. And then just a dash of cinnamon, which you probably can't see. Some allspice, some nutmeg. The recipe calls for vanilla extract, but I'm using a blackstrap rum, which has a lot of flavoring in it, so that'll be enough for that. I add, well, before I do that, I just take a muddler, or you could use a spoon and just kind of combine that into a batter. And if you peeked and looked at the email that Jennifer sent earlier, there's a recipe for a single, which I'm making, but there's also a recipe where you can make this batter in batch, keep it in the fridge, keep it in the freezer, and then anytime you want a hot toddy, just cut off like about an inch of it and throw it in your glass. Must be exciting for y'all. And then to that, I add 2 ounces of rum, which I pre-measured, thankfully. And then I just top it off with hot water. But again, you could use apple cider, you could use coffee, cocoa, tea, whatever you want. And then again, with the spices, just use whatever you have on hand. Got this something to mix it with. Just give it a quick stir. And that's your hot toddy. Cheers.
Cheers, David.
Thanks, Mark.
David.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Wonderful. Any thoughts or questions for Dave?
So
David?
Dave, we would just like to say it actually brings back so many childhood memories for us growing up in Scotland. We can still remember our mothers talking about the magical properties of hot toddy, either when we were at the cold or around Christmas or New Year's when it was, you maybe got 12 minutes of sun in the whole of December, and a hot toddy was the right recipe. And you're right, actually, even as a kid, well, maybe around 12 or 13 years old, going to an elderly neighbor and getting a hot toddy was this sort of secret, special thing that you got to do underage drinking. So hot toddies definitely bring back a lot of memories for us. So thanks.
Cheers. Cheers. What did you put in yours?
Well, it was whiskey, of course, and then any hot beverage with whiskey. So, like you mentioned, it could be hot chocolate or tea or coffee, and the spices we were trying to remember. Definitely that Indian influence, allspice, but I don't remember specifically what the spices were, but it definitely was. It seemed exotic because of the relationship with India and the colonies.
Interesting.
So I'm impressed that they let you drink as children.
Well, there really was no drinking. There was really no official drinking age in Scotland, and to some extent there still isn't. But it's a little bit like in France, where wine is just an accepted part of the culture, and I think it can like anything, it can be done to excess, but for the most part, it forms as part of your education, even early on, and gives you a healthy respect for drink.
Yeah, if it's not something wrong or bad, you're less likely to abuse it. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree with Stuart. My parents always allowed me to have tastes of wine or whatever it is they were having. And so it was never anything special. I didn't have to go sneaking it because it was just there. It was part of life.
Today, even today in Wisconsin, if you are accompanied with your parents as a minor, you can have beer with a meal.
Really?
But that means Miller Lite. It's not really a beer.
Yeah. I didn't say good beer. Yeah, you can go to a tavern with your parents. I did.
So very cool. I wanted to have it show you this book that I thought was really beautiful that Elizabeth Varley turned me on to, called The Drunken Botanist. And it's just like chock full of lots of fun factoids and lots of interesting things about both plants and spirits and wine and beer, and kind of where they come from and how to grow your own, how to make your cocktails. It's got a lot of cocktail recipes. Anyway, it's a really beautiful book, and it's beautifully produced. It has lots of pictures and everything, and fun recipes and things to try. Anyway, I'm gonna put it in the chat box, the information about it in the chat box if anybody wants to check it out. Also, thank you, Ron. He has put in a link to PayPal for donations to Arden Club. And Ron, I think, is that just for PayPal, or is that a direct link to?
That,
Go ahead.
I don't think you have to have a PayPal account. I think you can pay through that link. But of course, you can always write checks to the club as well. I also listed the Arden live stream concerts that we're doing. 2 web links up above.
Can we, when we write a check, do we write it to the club or to the Scholars Guild?
You can write it to the Arden Club.
Okay. Can I send that to you, or it's best just to do PayPal?
You can send it to me and I can pass it on, or you can send it directly to the club.
2126 The Highway.
You can also drop it in the mailbox in front of the guild hall.
Yeah.
Okay. For the Scholars Guild.
Sure.
And if y'all want a preview of Betty's next map for the Ardens, she's been doing this journal entry.
It's my notes.
Turn it a little.
I'm sorry.
That's what she's been working on.
It's just.
Is this going to make our map obsolete?
I'll make your maps obsolete, yeah.
That's what we hope.
This has been the biggest event on my social agenda this holiday season. So cheers to everyone. I'm so happy you're all here tonight.
Yeah, cheers.
Yes.
Cheers.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you especially to Dave and Jill for doing this. And of course, Dave Govatos, who I think might have dropped off already. So
yeah, he's pretty busy.
I'm sure he's very busy. Yeah. But it was really nice to hear from him. I appreciate that he was, gracious enough to include us in his busy schedule.
It was really nice. The wines were wonderful.
He also plays great music in his shop.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah.
And he has been a contributor to Arden Club before, hasn't he? Or collaborated with the Concert Guild?
Well, he promotes our concerts when we ask him to. He's very
friend of the club.
I think we can rook him into more.
Someday we'll do a tasting at the hall.
Yeah, I think we should reprise this in about 6 months and do a set of summer drinks and summer wines and summer cocktails, y'all. And maybe we can find a copy of that book. I don't know whether I put it in the library or whether it just went into the Arden Fair books. But there may be a copy of that book in the library, but I can't promise you yet. I have to go look.
If not, let's put it on the list to buy sometime.
It is a really, I have to say, it's a hoot to read. It's really fun. And, you know, if you're interested in plants, which I am, if you're interested in drinking, which I am, perfect combination. So.
That sounds like a book club. I might do that one.
It sounds like a guild.
Plants and drinking guild.
I'm all for it.
You try that to the church, we'll shut us down.
I'm a convert.
Great. That's a great one.
There's a guild for that.
Actually, you know what would be great is if the Gardeners Guild did a summer one on this book or something like that, or you know,
could do a joint guild presentation.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
A great example from Swigg. We got this Irish Gunpowder Gin from Swigg, which is filled with different kinds of fragrance than every other gin I've ever had. It's not juniper, but a lot of other things too.
What was the whiskey that David used? He said molasses?
The whiskey?
Yeah, show us, Dave.
Oh, you mean the rum?
Oh, yeah.
It's Cruzan blackstrap rum. It looks fancy, but $13 a bottle. It's really good for.
You didn't have to tell us the $13. You could have just, I mean, it looks like a fancy bottle.
It used to have a much more, they went to a fancy bottle and I thought it was going to go up in price, but it didn't. It's just a good, I guess they call it like Navy strength or something. It's a dark rum. It's really good in a dark and stormy, which is just the rum and ginger beer. But it has a lot of flavor and it's a good price point. And since you're mixing with so many other things, you really don't want to like, I don't know. I mean, there's some good sipping rums out there, but you wouldn't, I don't know that you want to use them in something that you're adding so many other flavors to.
Good point. What's ginger beer?
Ginger beer? It's a, it's like ginger ale, but it's different. It's just more ginger forward.
Yeah, it's much stronger ginger flavor.
Yeah, and Trader Joe's, I've not been to Trader Joe's in a while, but they have a really good ginger beer there.
Yeah, it's non-alcoholic.
David, is the brand of rum you used, is that posted in the, what Jill said out?
I didn't include it in the recipe, but I can get it.
Just put it in the chat quickly.
Yeah, I can add, I'll give you like a, I don't know if that's working.
Cruzan, all right, thank you.
I can't reach my keyboard here, but I'll add it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's that's good.
Jennifer, if you want to send me the recipes, I can put that on the website.
Okay, we'll do. And if did everybody notice? I did put the recipes in the chat box, but I'm happy to put it there again for those of you that might have come in late. I think the chat box doesn't always, you know, have.
It's still there. Jennifer, it's still there.
Well,
yeah, just scroll up.
You don't, but they don't get to see it if they join late. They don't get to see what was posted before they joined. That's the problem.
Oh, I get you. Okay,
I'll just go ahead
thank you.
and post that again, those recipes, because they're definitely worth saving. Some really tasty things going on here. I'm extremely excited about starting the hot toddy this year because, yeah, that's something.
I love that you can have it in your refrigerator all made up so that you can just say to neighbors, come on over.
Yeah, that's it. It included in the PDF that went out in the email. There's we can make a batch of the batter that makes 24 drinks. So
you can freeze it up to 3 months. I was really psyched about that.
And all you need is you add your rum and your hot water. And it also includes some, if you don't want to add the rum, you could just add hot water and it'll still make a nice drink. I haven't tried it that way, but you know, there's enough in the batter that it works pretty well.
With spontaneity, so having it made up in the fridge was like really cool. It's kind of like, as soon as we can have guests in.
But it's really nice. It's a cold day. You come in, you just cut off like an inch of the. It suggests you make like a log. You just cut off an inch, put it in a cup, pour some hot water, add some rum, and you're good to go.
Oh, wow. Kind of like a little mixer all set up.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can we just skip the water and just heat the rum?
Yeah. Or just add I don't know. We could add. It was funny when I was looking up this one article I found. It said I guess the hot toddy keeps evolving, and the latest one is people are mixing hot cocoa and wine, which sounds really disgusting until you think about it. It might not, chocolate and wine pair together pretty well.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not as weird as, I don't know. But.
All right, so Stuart, what kind of chocolate goes with that?
With the hot toddy.
Well, any kind, because your tongue kind of goes numb. But you're just going for the texture at that point.
I'm going for the numb right now.
This is kind of reminding me of serving at the bar at the Concert Guild a little.
A little.
A little.
Quieter.
Should be drinking it all, or
I'm drinking more.
You're gonna cut us off pretty soon. Is that what you're saying, Jerry?
You know what?
You're gonna cut us off pretty soon. It sounds like.
Oh, I never did. I thought about it with one person, but I never really did. I just sent them down to the next.
That was serving.
Sorry, that was.
Sounded me, yeah. I did once. Like.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was fun serving at the Concert Guild. We'll have to do, well, you've done, didn't Carrie do cocktails at the Concert Guild?
No.
Not cocktails. No.
No, we've never done that.
Oh, at the prom, there were some things.
Prom.
And Halloween parties.
Yeah, Halloween parties.
At the lecture.
Oh, with the gardener.
Me,
Yes.
we did a cocktail, a single cocktail.
Yes.
Yeah, the Earth Flower Fizz, which was an elderflower based cocktail. It was and lemon. It was pretty. It was nice. It was summer.
Is there an Arden cocktail?
Should be.
There should be. There should be.
Official.
And everyone.
We had to practice for that Earth Flower Fizz one a couple times too, didn't we? To get it just right.
Right.
Yeah, it was taste testings.
I volunteer for taste testing if you ever need taste testers.
That's my job. I've already got that. Sorry.
So is there a cocktail for the solstice celebration?
Okay.
So Mark didn't realize that I was doing the demo for this. And so I put on the calendar, practice drinking with David on our shared calendar. And he didn't even question it. He just.
Well, David's a friend of ours. We do things with him. So, I mean, periodically. So I just thought she was going to practice. Can we have a party with David on the phone or on Zoom? I didn't know what she was doing.
I think Friday night, whatever you do on Friday night, we should make it a guild.
Since you both clearly need practice with drinking, is that what it is?
That's what I thought. She's an amateur. She needs practice. I expect it better of David, though.
We should see the next week's calendar, Mark. It's going to be.
Just say Ron posted some links to those Italy wineries, and I'm thinking traveling might be okay.
I'm really glad this is being recorded, by the way.
Yeah. You can cut it off at the end of the.
I think it's a book group going to Italy, kind of thing. But anyway, book groups do travel.
Drinking groups travel too.
Yeah.
I'll be the designated driver.
We always need those.
I challenge you to drive in Ireland. Dennis, right? Dennis had to drink after he drove.
Yeah.
We had a special bottle of whiskey just for the end of the day for Dennis.
Well, I got tired all day of them saying, "Oh my God, that's beautiful," and I couldn't look.
Off his skinny path.
Is it worse than Boston?
Oh God. it's worse than anything. Actually, it is, when I was researching a rental car, they said it's one of the two most dangerous, difficult places to drive. So
The hedges are so tight. You might as well buy the insurance for new hubcaps when you rent the car, because it's just, you're scraping against, thistle and all that stuff. Yeah.
I want to know what the other most dangerous place to drive is.
Australia is a close second.
Well, that's in our opinion, but there was another, no, I think it's like one of the Caribbean countries. Haiti, maybe?
St. Lucia was.
No, this is one that was online. We thought that too, but. Yeah, I'll have to check.
So does anybody else have a very good drink recipe going into the winter season here?
The favorite of mine is always mulled wine. That's
Mulled wine?
Yeah, mulled wine. I mean, that's a classic. So.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to make, I just found the recipe for glögg, but then I had reconnected with a friend from back in my college days, and then through the band, we knew each other, and her stepmother was Scandinavian. I can't remember which country. And we would go, I remember really distinctly going caroling and stopping at their house, and they served us what they call glögg. And I asked for the recipe because I wanted to illustrate it for her. So I'm going to make that probably for tomorrow. That was my plan, but now I might do a hot toddy instead. Because Dennis is going to be out with the snow thrower all day, so.
He's
so
not.
I'm going to start drinking. No.
He's not coming tomorrow.
My bosses used to be Swedish, and I think I heard glögg from them one time.
Okay. Swedish, okay.
Are we ready to go caroling now? Everybody ready?
We would have to have those special masks that are shaped like a beak, right? For singing.
Open your window. That's going to be it.
Locate my copy of the Arden carols. I have it filed. I can't believe it. I'm going one year.
That was fun. Remember, were any of you involved when when Annie Renzetti brought one of her Clydesdales and a carriage, and we went caroling?
No, I missed that. Totally missed that.
That was magical.
Was that Clydesdale?
Yeah, so I don't know if it was a Clydesdale, but some really big, not elegant horse, like a workhorse. It was Pete.
No.
We used to go every year. We used to go caroling with a group in Arden, and I don't know what happened to that tradition. I guess people probably are still doing it, but not this year.
I don't think so.
No.
I caroled one year behind Ron's two daughters. It was so much fun. Ron's not on anymore. Okay.
Ron Ozer's two daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were so cute.
They were little then.
What?
Were they little then?
No. They were college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I caroled that year that we got the tour of Bob Lockerman's house inside, all his Christmas.
Yes, I was on that one. That was pretty cool.
That was amazing.
That was a pretty fun tour.
How do you find out?
Often we get that tour.
I've been here 20 years and I haven't caroled, so how did I miss that? If I'm like,
well, drink a hot toddy. Let's get out there caroling.
People are waiting for you to show up. Next time you get an invitation, I will be sure to pass it on and bring you along.
Great.
Wow.
I look forward to 2021, Christmas 2021 holidays. That'll be great.
And stop and
Before that, I think it was a great idea for spring or summer drinks, doing this again for a different season when we maybe can get together.
Yeah.
Or outside, just even doing it outside.
Oh yeah, that would be fun.
It would.
Once it breaks, there'll be a lot of partying.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That was Elizabeth's idea.
Excellent.
Solstice.
Well, are we all drunk up and talked out?
Yeah. Getting there. Yep. So thank you, Jennifer. Thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah, all of you who are
David,
involved.
thank you. It was very
Thank you so
interesting.
much.
Very welcome.
And Jill, I loved the cranberries.
Yeah.
Never thought of putting coconut milk in with tequila, but that sounds interesting.
Yeah, but it was really good.
It was really good. I really liked that one. I've done the coconut margarita before, but it had coconut cream, which made it super sweet, which this is much better, I have to say. I like this a lot.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was fun to see everybody.
Yeah.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Holiday.